Last week we had a pretty epic race at Red Bull Ring in the Manufacturers' Cup, and I was behind the wheel of the Porsche 911, and this was a top split lobby. The qualifying session took place in dry conditions, and I managed to qualify in 8th place. The race itself was completely different, with full rain, and we had to decide on the strategy. I chose the intermediates because I knew I could run them for the entire race without stopping. This meant I would struggle at the beginning of the race, but later, maybe the strategy will eventually pay off. Let's do this, everyone. Let's do this. Well, the start of the race was actually quite difficult because it was hard to judge which lines to take. In the wet, you need to use slightly different lines compared to the normal racing conditions. And as you probably can see, I was consistently choosing the alternative lines to stay off the usual racing line, which became very, very slippery in the wet. So by trying to avoid that line and doing something a bit different, I quickly found myself in a bit of a trouble. No. Look at the Ferrari go. Oh. I mean, really, it wasn't a big deal. I only had like a world champion behind me and the person who actually won this event in the World Series. So yeah, no pressure. Absolutely none. And at first I thought they had a lot more pace, but looking at the replay later, I found they were on a slightly different strategy. But we will go to that a little bit later in this video. So I really didn't know where I was and what my pace was. So I really tried to defend and see what could I potentially get out of all of this. Yeah, he's quick in the rain. No, he's got the pace. Ah, come on. And just like that, with that one small move where I tried to stay off the curb, it all went wrong. I really didn't want to touch the curb there, so I moved slightly to the left, and unfortunately there was a bit of a contact. And to make things even worse, I dropped to 14th place and really struggled for grip. And one lap later, I lost 2 more positions, and I was literally last in this race. Dead last. And for the next few laps, to be fair with you, nothing happened. I just focused on my own pace and really tried to understand how to get more out of this race. But I also noticed that the gap to the lead kept growing, and I really had no idea where they were finding that much more grip in these conditions. And I guess we will go to this a little bit later. Then, coming into lap 7, the AMG made a small mistake and I finally had the chance to gain at least that one position. Come on, go. Okay. And after that move, the track actually started to dry out and my car finally began to feel better. I started finding more grip and before long, I found myself in another overtaking position. No, 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 no. Go. Oh. Got it. And after that pretty nice move, you can probably notice that the dry line started to form and the track conditions began to improve. My pace picked up and I was not losing as much time to the leaders as before. And this likely meant one thing. The drivers in front of me were on a different tire compound. They were on full wets, while I've been running the intermediates for the entire race. And it really showed how effective the dry line had become. After a few laps, another shower arrived and the conditions shifted again. It was full dynamic weather and I was still in 13th place. Then the Frenchman got a half a second penalty, which moved me up to 12th position. A clear improvement from literally being last on the grid. And the race was far from over. Still at this point, we had a lot to go. We were already in lap 16 and I knew that if anyone is going to pit, it will most likely happen soon. And then a couple of drivers in front of me pitted, which confirmed that they were on a different strategy. I even set the fastest lap of the race at that point, which felt really good after everything that happened in this race so far. And just like that, I found myself in 9th place, which was, well, really good. And I was very close to P8. And then I just had to be me. And unfortunately, I made a mistake. Yeah, but getting 20 seconds... Of course. And as you can see, just that one little wrong move cost me a couple of seconds. And I actually thought I could brake later, but unfortunately didn't want to collide into Matti and I went left. I lost a couple of seconds, but that was it. Then you can really see that the dry line started to form again. And after that, the things will really change for the better for me. But now I lost yet another position and dropped back to 10th place. And so far, it has really been a roller coaster and you never really know what can happen. So you just have to stick to the plan. And the plan was to use every single chance that I get and, well, potentially get a place. And of course, without crashing, because that's the most important thing. But as I managed to get one place, I ended up in a pretty similar situation to the one before. I felt like Matti was kind of a magnet for me, and unfortunately we made contact again. Sorry, Matti. No, there is this one line, if you just miss it slightly, you get off that line, and there it is. And now I was in 11th place, which was definitely not a good spot for this race. Then I noticed a couple of other drivers pitted and Matti unfortunately made a tiny correction too much and ended up on the wet part of the track. I took advantage of that and with all of the drivers that pitted, I moved up to 7th place. And considering everything that already happened, this was pretty great for me. Well, I struggled for, 21 laps and now it's a little bit better, but the intermediates need to hold now. They need to work. Then another group of drivers pitted, but they actually went for the soft tire, which was a dangerous choice in these conditions. And in the middle of all of this, I made a bit of a contact with P4 at the moment because I thought I could actually do this move, but I didn't want to force anything. It just wouldn't be right. In the next corner, I finally made my move and finally found myself in 4th place, which was, to be fair with you, unbelievable after all of the things that happened in this race. But just to give you a better idea on what was going on behind me, the soft tire runners had to be extremely careful with every move. And after a pretty nice overtake on the slicks, both of them went wide, lost traction, and the race was basically over for them. Now, I had another problem. Nicholas has pitted for the fresh set of intermediates and he was absolutely flying. I tried to defend, but I simply couldn't hold him off. He's got the tires. Let's use his slipstream if I can, of course. And now for the next couple of laps, or to the end of this race, I really tried to use the slipstream as much as I possibly could, but he was just too quick and I couldn't follow. And as the track started to dry out, my main problem became the tires. I knew I had to keep them alive, so I really focused on not pushing the car to its absolute limit. It was not necessary. The only goal at this point was to save the tires and make it to the finish line. And this is exactly what I did for the next couple of laps, even though the gap to the drivers behind me was not looking great. But I kind of made it. In the final lap, my tires were given up, but I didn't want to give up myself. I stayed defensive, held the line, and brought it home in P5. But I think it's actually going to be P5. There we go. Finally. I was struggling at the beginning, but it was all worth it. It was worth it.